Cool.
Should be good.
Yep. I think we are live. Why can't I see it? Are we live? Let me know if we're live. I think we're live. I see live. What is going on, everybody? How you all doing out there? I'm trying to figure out, this is a different stream setup for me than normal. We'll get this all sorted. But hey, welcome back to the stream. Welcome here on a Sunday. And you read that right. You're like, MCoC coaching, what is this? And I want to start off with two things immediately. I want to tell you what it's not. Because it is, I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm working with my buddy Nerd here, who you've heard me talk about forever. You've heard him on the stream. Do you know how good he is? He's an Alliance War Planner for noon. I don't think you need to say anymore about how good he is, all right? But it is not this. It is not a solicitation for merking or for piloting. I know some of you are like, what is merking? What's piloting? In other words, Nerd is going to help me get better at this game. I'm still going to have to go and do the work. I'm going to be playing the game. He's just going to help me get better at it in the ways that I'm hoping to get better. He's going to talk it through, share some of his knowledge, and coach me. It is purely coaching. This is not merking. This is not piloting. Okay, I want to make sure that the right away. And then there was something else I knew I wanted. There's two things. Is that I have paid for this session because it is paid, right? I paid for that with the airtime on this. Okay, so that's kind of how that's working out. Oh, that's a Wonder Woman variant. It's a pretty cool comic, but that's not what we're here for today. And so that I do want to set that live. Yeah, it's like, is it a promotion, whatever? I just want full transparency on all of these things. Now, what are we here for today? We are here for, I'm okay at this game. My knowledge is all right. I feel good making videos. I feel comfortable with that. But I often tell you, I'm like, you're not here to see how good I am. You're here to, one, hopefully have fun, but also to learn how good these champions are, right? If I can use them in war to solo a boss, if I can use them to win a BG matchup, then there's a good chance you can, right? Well, I want to get better, and I'm doing fine in Battlegrounds. I can always make it to the Gladiator Circuit or whatever the highest thing is called. But then I'm hosting my own tournaments, and I was kind of already aware of this, but I went up against Legacy this week, and I wasn't even close. Now, my goal isn't necessarily to become as good as Legacy, right? Because I think, we can all get better at things, but we should be realistic with our expectations. But I want to get better. I need to get better. And with the amount of time I have, one of the best things I can do is bring in a coach. So many of the players, like Jay Will has openly talked about it. He has a Battlegrounds coach. They spar against each other. Repetition, intentional practice is how you get better at this. So that's where we are. I want to give my friend Nerd a little bit of airtime now. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for doing this, Nerd. I could not be more excited about going over this with you. Welcome to the stream.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be doing this today.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'll be doing Battlegrounds coaching. I think this will be a great way for the game moving forward. It's been a massive thing in pretty much every competitive game I've ever played, so I think it will be very healthy for MCoC as well. So yeah, excited to get into this with you, Vega.
Awesome. Well, we'll do about an hour today. While I set up my Alliance War defense, I'm sure they'll change the nodes a little bit and stuff. I will be looking at the chat. I can see everyone in the chat. What's up, everybody? Hey, Aiden. What's up, Eric? Infamous. Ali. What's up, buddy? And Jason. But I'm gonna do my best to kind of talk with Nerd, go through this. If you have questions, please put them up there. If we don't get to it, it's okay to repeat them. That's not spam. We might not be as interactive with the chat as we normally are on one of my streams. We've got about an hour. Want to get through this. Was there anything else? Oh, Nerd. So today we're going to be doing BGs because that's what I really want to focus on, right? Questing, I seem to do well. I'm happy with my ability to read nodes and figure out champions for that sort of stuff. EOP still kicks my butt, but it is what it is. And so I'm going to be doing Battlegrounds. As far as your coaching is concerned, do you only do Battlegrounds coaching? Do you do war, questing? If you could give us a few seconds on what it is that you offer.
Yeah, so I do Battlegrounds coaching. One of the main services I offer is, deck building. It comes with some other things, masteries, rank up recommendations, some advice on how to best draft for your deck, and how to best ban for your deck. And then I also do coaching for, if you need help, knowing how to clear a specific piece of content. If you want to learn how to better plan Alliance or offense or defense, I can definitely coach for that as well. So that's, a little bit of everything. Battlegrounds is definitely what I'm most excited about and most that. offering a bit of everything as well for anyone who may be interested in something else than competitive BGs.
Awesome. Great to hear. And for those who do end up interested, the video kind of announcing all this is linked in the chat. You can see it there, pinned comment, and then also linked in the description. So make sure you check those out. All right. Hoopster, I do know that is something we're going to talk about today. A nerd kind of has a format we're going to go through, so I'm going to let him see it. And so the first thing that we are going to talk about is the deck, right? So I have a good roster. I feel comfortable saying that. But deck building is something that always I'm not great at it. And so, nerd, how do you want to do this? Do you want to kind of walk through it? Like, should I clear out my deck? How do you approach this?
I think it would be great if you could pull up the image I sent you of the spreadsheet that I use for this on your stream.
Let me see.
And I think we can go put in the champs from that spreadsheet. Just to give everyone a chance to see the spreadsheet I use. It's not too complicated, but I do think it helps kind of visualize it, since, it's very hard to visualize the deck in the full game mode.
Let me try to do that. You're testing my skills here already, my friend. I think, I'm getting better at this thanks to the Battlegrounds tournament.
While you're doing that, I'd like to start off with talking about some of the ways you want to arrange your deck for the Rich Get Richer meta. The Rich Get Richer meta is a meta that heavily incentivizes the Cosmic, Mystic, and in turn with Mystic, Science classes in Battlegrounds, and then in general the skill class is just ridiculous in Battlegrounds. So this tends to be the heavy focus for Battlegrounds, and you'll see with this, the tech class is very, very low. Only one tech there. And this is just due to how ridiculously strong the Cosmic class is, but of course, Nimrod is even stronger. And yeah, so there will definitely be some problems that come with this. So this is the first thing I'd like to cover, is how to make your deck weaker in one area to make it stronger in every other area, and then how to deal with that weakness. So with this, not having many techs, this generally means, Toad is going to be a problem, Domino is going to be a problem, and then like Havoc and Sauron can be problems as well. So the way I like to look at this is using your bans to do this can help a lot in the first place, and I actually think it's going to be very good for you to ban Domino if the opponent has a high Sig Domino, but if it's a low Sig Domino and you're going to be dealing with that regardless, you do have some great options outside of the tech class that are going to be great at dealing with Domino. The first one of these is going to be Sunspot. Now, Sunspot can abuse the AAR, and it acts the same way as when a champion purifies his Incinerates, and this will let him be a great Domino counter. And then you've also got, Odin, Hulkling, and some more general Domino counters, so when you're not going to be banning Domino. But I do think banning Domino, just let your tech class be weaker, and then strengthen the rest of your deck with your bans is one of the best ways to approach bans. Is to, instead of trying to weaken your opponent's deck with your bans, because, against most good decks, it's pretty much impossible to truly weaken a deck with 3 bans. So instead, making your own deck stronger with this can be very, very effective. So this is going to be one of the main ways, Domino ban with this. And yeah, and then for Toad and Havoc, these are the other main 2 problems in the Mutant class that are generally only solved by techs. You do have Odin, Hyperion, Hulkling, Tigra, Sunspot, and Overseer, who all will do fantastically against Havoc. Can definitely still cause some problems, but you have all of the best options outside of the tech class there to help with that. And for Toad, you've got Odin, Hulkling, CGR, Overseer, and of course still your Nimrod is there. So you've got a lot of great options for these outside of the class to help fill this in. And yeah.
That all made a ton of sense. Are you comfortable with me? I think pretty much in every single class. Oh, thank you for the extremely generous donation. So Awesome Sauce. I use Awesome Sauce. I use that. So I love seeing that. How do you grow a magnet? I really wish I knew. Like when I was a little kid and this was growing in, it wasn't always the coolest because people thought I was so much older than I really was. I wasn't terrible when I was trying to appear to be 21, but at other times in my life, it was not the best. So thank you for that. I use a little beard oil and I just let it grow. Now, are you comfortable? Are you cool with if we kind of go through almost each class? Because this is the first time I'm really looking at this deck. And I think in every single class, there's at least one champion where I'm like, why are they not in here? Are you comfortable? Are you open to going through that kind of process a little bit where I ask some questions on that?
So if you'd like to just start with the skill class first, the first on the left, and go over that.
So you're saying, yeah, you are. I'm sorry, we probably cut out there a minute. So you're cool if we kind of go over it a little bit?
Yep.
So like in skill, and this shows you where, I've been kind of like, I just use my deck. I've got this large roster. I just kind of put them in there. And then, what happens. I draft and I do better than most. So I'm content. But then going up against the guys and gals in my tournaments, I get my butt kicked. So I just got to get better. It's hard. It's weird for me. Why no Hitmonkey? Why no Killmonger? Those are both rank 3. Is there kind of, if you're cool with it, what's the reason behind not them?
Oh yeah. Okay. So for this, the big thing with Hitmonkey and Rich Get Richer is that you really need to play aggressively, because in his purple phase, each time you crit, it boosts your chance to get crit bleeds. So this is how you see those super quick Hitmonkey fights, is when someone is able to just do like 8 3-hit combos in a row and get a bunch of crit bleeds.
Yeah.
In Rich Get Richer, the extra power gain makes this not necessarily impossible, but it's very, very unreliable.
Okay.
And then for Killmonger,
yeah,
it's the result of how strong the Cosmic class is here. Killmonger is one of those cosmics that... Sorry, just touch these real quick. Killmonger is one of those skill champions that just gets very hard countered by the Cosmic class. And it kind of falls into the same thing with the Tech class, where, the Cosmic attackers being so significantly stronger effectively makes a lot of champions weaker defenders.
Okay, like you explained it, and it's like, of course, that makes so much sense. And so this really is... It's obvious where you're saying it, but you know me, I like to really hit home some certain points. This is very much the deck for the Rich Get Richer meta, which is I think it's called the Victory track, right? Which I'm clearly still working my way through. So this is very tailored to that. Okay, very, very cool. Makes a lot of sense. Real quick, we got a donation here from James Jones. Thank you so much for the generous donation. Hey man, quick question. Should I get 3 5-star or 1 6-star? It will be my second 6-star and just finish Act 4. Okay, first of all, congratulations finishing Act 4. You're obviously moving your way through the game. That's phenomenal. It's so much going to depend, James, on who that... I think you're talking about ranking up, if I understand the question. It's who that 6-star is, right? Like, yes, they're often buffing champions, and they tend to become very usable to great. But if you're just ranking up... I don't know. You can't say, there's no champion you can say without offending someone in the MCoC community. If you're just bringing up Taskmaster because they're a 6-star, while that 5-star is like Hercules, then I'd go with the 5-star. 7 stars are coming, but I think you're very much at a point where you want to rank up who's going to help you clear content. So I think that should be your priority as far as that's concerned. Okay, so we talked about the skill champions, the science champions. Let me move this for everyone here so they can kind of see what we're talking about. That should have helped out. Why did that not help? That's the old.
All right, so
sorry.
For the science.
Yeah, go for it.
For the science class, the main way you want to go with the science class for the Rich Get Richer meta is fixing the problematic mystics. It is a very mystic-heavy deck with Rich Get Richer generally, but it's not just, every mystic fits into this. And the ones that I generally find being a part of this are going to be Sassy, Rintrah, and Mephisto. So I've went ahead and filled your deck with a lot of the best options that will deal with all 3 of these as well as possible. You've got Joe, Eye-Bomb, Torch, and Scorpion all dealing very well with Rintrah, and on this, just since the class dynamics aren't perfectly, I'd like to add, AA and Sunspot are also there as part of this, and Stealthy are also there as part of this Mystic countering job. Just having some of these pure attackers that can counter just how strong these pure defenders are for the Rich Get Richer class.
Okay.
And that's the main way you want to approach the science class, in my opinion. It doesn't have the best general nukes, but it does fix a lot of the hardest problems to deal with.
Okay.
And that's what you see here. You've got, Scorpion, Overseer, Torch, Eyebomb, and Joe that are all fantastically do this. And yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Because my thing is like, I sigged up Thing to Sig 200. Why is he not in there? But I get it. I mean, and I accidentally had iHulk in there. He obviously wasn't supposed to be in there. I have rank 4 Sig 200, Quicksilver, Spider-Man 99, and Mr. Fantastic. None of them are in this deck. It hurts me a little bit, but I hear what you're explaining, and it's making a lot of sense, right? How much does that come into play for you? Like, I'm sure there's not like an exact formula, but as far as rank 4s versus rank 3s, if the rank 3 is, stronger, better, it looks pretty clear you go with the stronger, better champion, even if they're rank 3 as opposed to rank 4. Is that pretty much correct?
Yeah, I definitely lean for, even if the R3 is the better champion, they're going to make it in.
Okay.
I think a lot of this comes from the difference between R3s and R4s is really not what it was back when, like, 5 stars were a thing and all that. So, like, an R4, it's nice to have, but it's not really going to make the difference, whereas a different champ entirely is definitely going to make a huge difference,
Yeah, no, that's kind of cool that you hear that, especially as rank 4s are becoming more prevalent, especially, like I said, in the Battlegrounds tournament. I mean, we're seeing decks that are just like packed full of rank 4. So, okay. I see all the comments, guys. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, if you have a question, you go ahead and ask it again. But I want to get we've got Nerd here, so I want to get as much of his expertise out as possible. All right. So now we're moving on to the Mutant. Domino, you did include Domino, which feels good for me because I have a rank 4. It looks like I missed. No, I got everyone. I'm trying to figure out where I missed a champion. We'll figure it out. No real surprises here for me. No Bishop. Rank 4 Sig 200 Bishop. There's just not a good place for him.
Yeah, it was tough between either, always banning Domino or bringing in Bishop, and I feel like it's just better to bring in Bishop. I mean, I feel like it's better to just bring in Domino, even if you might ban Domino occasionally.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. For the Mutant class, I approached the Mutant class similar to how I approached the Skill class, where this is just going to be your very strong, very versatile, both for defenders and attackers. So first up, we've got Weapon Axe. He kind of gets... I don't know how to say this, but he kind of gets misused a lot by people in Battlegrounds, where, he's thought of as more of a defender, but I really think Weapon Axe is just such a fantastic, versatile attacker. And I think the way his attacks go is perfect for Rich Get Richer, with not needing to play insanely aggressively, but still putting out really, really good damage. And I think, he's perfect for that. And we have Havoc here, who's definitely one of the interesting ones. I know a lot of people diss on Havoc in Battlegrounds, and there's one trick with Havoc, and it's unlocking Inequity. This mastery is just one of the most powerful defensive tools you can have in your entire roster. We'll touch on this a little bit more as we go into the Cosmic and Mastery setups, but Havoc with Inequity really is just one of the most reliable defenders in the entire game. He is almost always going to at least be a good defender. And then, Sunspot and Archangel, I'm sure you're not surprised by that. 2 of the best and most versatile attackers. And then Domino here. Very few people still have a high Sig Domino. If your Domino is the one that's high Sig, it's not going to be worth banning her, and then you can still include Domino in your deck. And Domino, she's one of the best defenders in the game. Can be a little bit of a two-way, but I definitely lean more towards her being a defender, especially with Rich Get Richer disincentivizing tech champs.
Okay. Yeah. Real quick, I realized I misunderstood the question from James. I would go with the 1 6-star, 7 stars around the corner. I would go with the 6-star. Nerd, do you have strong feelings on that? Looks like James just finished up Act 4. They could get 3 5-star crystals, or they could get 1 6-star crystal. I think that where the game is as right now, I'd go with the 6 stars. Do you feel similarly?
Yeah, I'd go with the 6 stars as well.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and move. Real quick, I did want to ask you. Shoot, we got 40 minutes. if you could give us a quick answer on, I just recently listened to your Defenders video. Now it is 3 months old and things change so fast in Battlegrounds. You had Storm X, I think her name is, as a pretty strong defender. Was there any consideration to including her in here? And if not, kind of why?
Yeah, for sure. The Rich Get Richer makes her a lot weaker on defense because a lot of the Cosmic champs just get a lot of specials during this, and
Okay.
and the main thing about SPX is she glances basics, but she does not glance specials at all, and she has a tiny health pool. So all of these Cosmic champs just make Storm Pyramid X a lot easier to deal with, and yeah, that just kind of makes her not necessarily a weak defender, but definitely not an elite one.
Okay. This all makes a ton of sense. All right, let's move on to tech. There's only one. So I'll just ask. It kills me to not have my rank 4 Sig 200 Penny Parker in there. I'm sure you've got a good reason, though.
Yeah, Penny Parker, again, it's with just how strong the Cosmic class is.
Yeah.
Basically, all of these Cosmics are going to destroy Penny.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
if you look at your deck, you can see you already have 6 fantastic Penny options in that Cosmic class. I think that illustrates it well.
That should take care of it. And then one of the things I love about Penny is using her as a dual threat, particularly for Nick Fury, even though that fight can go sideways if I don't manage his charges well. But I have a feeling you've set me up with Nick Fury counters in that Mutant class, and then also with Rich Get Richer. I know Legacy used his Hulkling to destroy my Fury. So it feels like it's balancing out that concern I have about Nick Fury too. So that's really cool to put together. That's awesome. I would never have thought of that. Okay. And then I guess
one of the sorry.
No, go for it.
Okay, so that's one of the things I really like with deck building strategy is when you purposefully make one area of your deck weaker in order to make the rest of your deck stronger. And then you can fix that weaker area with some of the more general options instead of using a niche specific option. Before Nick Fury, of course, you've got Archangel, Sunspot, Stealthy, CGR, Hulkling, Odin, Hyperion. And yeah, you've got a lot of great options to fix in that you don't have Toad, you don't have Penny. And yeah, that's the main thinking there. And in my opinion, Penny is just weaker as a dual threat with Rich Get Richer because it's very, very hard to play aggressively enough to keep your charges up.
Yeah. The fight, I had a really nice fight, and I'm going to show it in a video if I can get the time to make the video, of her taking out a Fury. I was really excited about it, but I didn't get lucky, but I had to use her power drain because Fury still got to his SP3. So I had to use it, and then I got lucky he threw his SP2. So it was still a little, it wasn't ideal, let's put it that way. So that's really cool on how the node is helping formulate the deck. I do want to point out, Rebellion, your question, I would focus on 5 stars. I wouldn't be so concerned about maxing them out. More like rank the champions are going to help you clear content. And then if there's a tie or it's close, go towards the higher variety. That way you're more prepared for what is handed to you in the future. But try to focus more on what you need as far as what the game is throwing at you and what you're trying to clear. And then OG Highline is in here saying he hired you. It looks like you had your session yesterday, and he's saying top-notch advice. So that's really cool to already have that out there. So, all right. And then so let's move on to Mystic.
So for Mystic, the one thing I really like with Mystics is the Rich Get Richer meta actually makes it a lot better to use almost all of these on attack. I think, going in with your 2-ways, I think Mystic is really the class that leans into 2-ways very, very hard on Rich Get Richer specifically. Doom is one of my favorite examples of this. I've actually been drafting Doom more as an attacker than as a defender recently, with the Fury nodes boosting MD so much for him. And yeah, it's a really great class with Rich Get Richer. As you can see, you do have a few specific nukes here to help with this. Tigra and Juggernaut are just 2 of the strongest nukes in general, and then when a node set makes them even stronger, you're going to be going ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you have Rintrah and Sassy. As we mentioned, these are massive, massive problems. And you also have the new Spidey here. The new Spidey really causes a lot of issues on defense. And And yeah, he's just really hard to deal with. I think he's pretty much going to be worth including in your deck almost any time for at least, a few more months, because he's one of those where he is a new defender and it's definitely contributing to making him harder. But he's one of the ones where I think he's going to be a strong defender and he's going to stand through the test of time for a long time. Maybe not always be to this elite level, but I really do think he's one of the best defenders to come out in a long time.
Okay. I just want to take a second because I can see how many people have tuned in the last 10, 15 minutes. I have hired Nerd. It is, I just purely for transparency, it is an exchange for, doing this stream, but I also felt like it was a win for the viewers. So for me, it's like a win-win-win. Viewers win, I win, Nerd wins. If you're interested in this sort of coaching, not just for Battlegrounds, I'm doing it for Battlegrounds, but for Questing, Alliance War, he's a war planner for Noon. The link to his channel and the video where he describes kind of what's going on and how to contact him has been linked in the description of this stream and also in the chat. All right, we're going to go for about another 35 minutes. So we're trying to scoot through here a little bit. I guess let's go ahead and take a look at the Cosmic class real quick that you have listed.
All right, yeah.
There.
So Cosmic class, this is definitely the main thing with Rich Get Richer. The Cosmic class is just ridiculous. First off, before we get into the Cosmic Attackers, I'd like to discuss two of the best Cosmic Defenders here, and that's Null and Terrax. And this is, again, another interaction with Inequity where these two just become absolutely ridiculous defenders with Inequity due to the Armor Break debuffs and the Living Abyss debuffs being very, very difficult for anyone to get rid of. These two can take full advantage of Inequity, and on top of already being annoying defenders, they can then stretch out the fight very, very long with a 36% weakness, and it's just very hard to deal with them. And again, on your bans, I'd like to just touch on one thing here. I'm gonna recommend banning Hercules. You can see Hercules is not included there.
Yeah.
The main thing Hercules does is that, since he's just such a strong nuke regardless, he can kind of, make these Inequity defenders not so ridiculous just by Herc being so ridiculous. So that ban is, on top of Herc being a very, very annoying defender, going to be helping all three of these Inequity defenders, Null, Terrax, and Havoc, become a lot stronger. And that's going to make these three some of the most reliable defenders in the entire game and will do a lot of good work for you.
Okay. Yeah, that's also having Herc not up there. It almost hurts me a little bit. But again, once you explain it, it makes sense. And it's fitting in with the whole format of the formula that you're giving here. Like the whole outline makes sense when viewed together. Each individual piece, like if it's like, oh no, I'm not going to include my rank 4 600 Hercules. It's like, why would you not do that? Okay, so that makes sense. And then I think you've mentioned Inequity a bunch of times. Does it make most sense for us to now jump to Masteries? Is that where we should head next?
Yep, I think we should. But just. First off, going to finish up the Cosmic class.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Then you've got CGR, Gallon, Hulkling, Odin, and Hype. These are going to be 5 of the most versatile attackers with how you can just abuse Rich Get Richer with them. And then Hulkling is a very, very strong defender as well. And then occasionally Gallon or Hyperion will be a strong defender for that two-wayness on the Cosmic class again. And yeah, let's get into Masteries now.
Have I messed up my deck at all? I don't think I have. I saw a couple of places where I did. But I think we've got everyone that intended.
Odin isn't included.
Yeah, I just updated that. I had White Magneto for somehow. I accidentally picked him up, but I just got Odin in there. Gotcha. So I think we're good. So I'll go ahead and save that. And then we'll move to Masteries. I think I'm gonna just bring up my Masteries page.
All right.
Instead of bringing up what you sent over to me, if you don't think it's working, let me know though, and we can change it.
All right. Yeah, in-game mastery should be better for the viewers as well.
Yeah. So, I'm happy to start off on whichever page you think we should.
Let's just start off on offense first, because it'll be the quickest.
Okay.
All right. So on offense, we're gonna have. This is actually the exact tree I was gonna recommend, so we can just stick with that. So you've got 5 out of 5 precision, 4 out of 5 greater cruelty. This is pretty standard. Now you do have an option to move point in courage to maxing greater cruelty. it is mostly up to you. Courage will make your defenders a little bit stronger, and then greater cruelty will generally be better for your attackers. If you want to be winning dirty, courage can be nice to get that extra damage on your defenders. It's mostly optional. There's not a big difference between the two, but optimizing points is important. So doing what you think might be better between that point for you, definitely important. In general, I think courage is just as good as the 5th point in cruelty.
Let me hold on. Let me stop you. I know I'm interrupting you, and I apologize, but there's a question I want to ask because you said something. I'm like, I think we should make this clear here. Is you brought up the kind of winning dirty. Obviously, my streams. You've been part of it. You've been on call. You'll hear me talk about how I'm going to win ugly. If I'm going up against Nerd or FinTech or Legacy or TJ or Na or DLL, all these guys who are phenomenal, I'm going to have to win ugly. Meaning, I know I'm not going to outskill them. So I'm going to lose around. I'm trying to win best 2 out of 3. I'm not trying to win 2 out of 2, right? And sometimes that means my defender's going to need to delay them or cause them to make a mistake or something like that. And so I feel like you said, hey, courage might make sense for you, Vega. How much of this mastery setup that you're presenting to me is for like your blanket advice for anyone? And how much of it is, no, this is how Vega plays. This is his deck. This makes sense for him.
Yes, this is definitely specifically tailored to you.
Okay.
It is always going to be a decent mastery setup for pretty much everyone in most places in the game, but this is definitely specifically tailored to you and how you play the game and how your deck is. Okay,
that makes a lot of sense. I heard you say that, and it kind of made me kind of question. Okay, so I guess we're probably moving on to Despair, yeah?
Yep. Okay. So for Despair, again, it's a lot of the Mystic defenders and some of the tech defenders like Infamous Iron Man now have a bunch of regen. Despair helps you deal with this. And then Despair is mostly for your defenders here, actually. Working with Inequity and Despair. One, if you match someone that's running Recoil, Inequity and Despair will make Recoil a lot worse for your opponent. And that can pretty much shut that off. And 2, if you're using these Inequity defenders, Havoc, Terex, Null, you don't want to just be letting your opponent end every fight with a full yellow bar. So having Despair paired with Inequity will be what makes these defenders so strong.
Yeah. I bet you a lot of people right now are like, what is Inequity? So I think maybe we'll jump there after we finish up, after we finish the offense tree.
All right. And then, what's it called? Deep Wounds. This is a fairly self-explanatory one. Nick Fury, very strong with Deep Wounds. Weapon X, very strong with Deep Wounds. And Archangel gets a good chunk of benefit from Deep Wounds, as well as Domino. Not the most essential mastery, but I think it's probably the best use of those 5 points.
Okay.
Maybe for some people's decks, there would be a better use for something like Tech Collar, or maybe Petrify, or something like that, but I think for your deck, I would put those 5 into Deep Wounds.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Are you cool with us jumping to defense so you can explain what Inequity is? Because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about that right now.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So with the defense tree, one of the things I really like for BGs is instead of the normal war defense, where you're going to have like stand your ground, maxed all this, trying to, always get those little mistakes from your opponents that very rarely will pay off. I think 9 out of 9 greater vitality is going to be a lot better to just let you stall out a round. And then for the 15 points to get to willpower and Inequity, you're going to want 4 points in block proficiency. And then the final point you can kind of put wherever. I like to put into perfect block, just for the occasional perfect block if that works out.
Do you have time? Why? Like, one of the reasons why I've never done it is I feel like I'm not going to have time for me to register that the perfect block just happened and take advantage of it. Is that, like, in essence, what if the perfect block does happen? Are you just happy because you didn't lose any damage, or what's the benefit of it?
Yeah, you're just happy because you didn't lose health.
Okay.
No.
Cool.
A lot of defenders do a bunch of block damage. It's pretty rare that it happens, but for a single point, and you need to put a single point somewhere in the defense tree, I think it's probably going to be the best.
Okay. We did get one question, and I think I think almost all questions are good questions, but I think this one in particular, a lot of people may be wondering, and it is about the offensive tree, so we'll be quick on it, is what about Assassin? How come no points in Assassin?
With Assassins, in Battlegrounds, if someone on attack is down to 18% health, you've probably won that round. And then I don't think it makes that big of a difference as far as offensively goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. All right, and so then we're into willpower, just 1 point, yeah?
Just 1 point. You can go with more points into willpower. You know, it'll let you get some more willpower healing. And this, you know, can be worthwhile sometimes, but overall I think you probably have better places to use your points than going further into willpower. And then the big one, Inequity. This is what I kind of tailor my mastery strategies around. Inequity, for those who don't know, every debuff will give a 6% weakness at max potency with max Inequity, and this goes to a cap of 36%. And now for those who don't know, because this is why Inequity is rather unknown, in around 2020, I believe it was sometime around when Terrax was added, I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
They changed how weakness works, and instead of just going off of base attack, where an Inequity would basically be worthless, instead, Inequity will affect modified attack as well. So this means if a Hyperion has 10 Furies, the 36% weakness is still going to mean a lot to that Hyperion, whereas it used to just be the base attack. So if you had Furies, if you had any modified attack, weakness would never matter. But now, weakness affects modified attack, and it's really, really, really strong. And another thing, just for the 36% weakness, just with how weakness math works out, is effectively a 52% health boost, because if you do say 10 damage a hit, and then the defender has 100 health, if you do 6.4 damage per hit, it's going to take you 15.2 hits to kill instead of 10 hits.
Yeah.
So it's effectively 52% longer fights instead of 36%, so it's a really, really big difference.
So for those who were maybe just tuning or hadn't noticed, I actually had this maxed out already in my, because I'm, you know, I Nerd and I are friends. We hang out, and DLL has been talking about this a lot in his war videos too. So I've had this maxed out for a while now. I have noticed it is a noticeable difference. And for a player like myself who does make mistakes, it feels really good. So there's a question, and I'm kind of curious about it too, especially for me in particular. And like I said, you know me, I'm nothing to hide. I'm being forthright here. I make mistakes. And sometimes maxed out stand your ground, it saves me. And I know sometimes it's really annoying for your defenders to have it. Is there any scenario where, like, for a very personalized situation like myself, where you're like, you know what? Okay, in that situation, maybe take those points out of greater vitality and put them in stand your ground? You know, do you have feelings on that? Or thoughts on that?
I definitely think it can be that way, but I think, greater vitality is just always going to make a difference, and I'm someone who really likes playing into versatility and always putting up a fighting chance, and I think greater vitality just plays into that a lot more.
Yeah.
Stand your ground can win a round single-handedly, but it'll trigger maybe once in 50 rounds.
Yeah.
So instead, getting that nice health boost for every single round.
That makes a lot of sense too. Like, again, one of the things I'm enjoying about this is how much it's this large outline with a cohesive plan, and then each part on its own probably doesn't make sense, but when viewed together, it's completely going towards that goal. And if one of my goals is to kind of win ugly and know I'm not going to be more skilled, but hey, with roster and tenacity or what have you, I might be able to win, if I can win 6 out of 10 matchups, that's good. I also seen how having my defenders have more health, everyone having more health, that kind of plays into that. That's like slightly increasing my chances to win 6 out of 10, where stand your ground may help me win 1 out of 10, because there's that 1 out of 10 where it triggers and makes a difference. So I think if I view it as a cohesive plan, that's making a lot of sense to me as well. All right, and then should we go over proficiencies, I guess, pretty quickly?
Yep.
Okay.
So proficiencies is fairly simple. There are 2 main ways you can go with it. You can either put points into Limber, or you can put points into Petrify. Now, for Petrify, This will be great for a lot of metas where you're able to play fairly passively and able to control the defenders via, not hitting them much and hitting them during their stuns. During Rich Get Richer, due to the power gain, you're not really able to do this. So for Rich Get Richer specifically, I think it's better to go into Limber. For most metas, I'd probably go into Petrify. But for this one, I prefer Limber. And Limber is just for, making your defender stronger. Again, the stun duration helps a lot if someone is using like a Shang-Chi or a Sunspot or someone like that is reliant on stuns, and it can also just, occasionally cause someone to make a mistake. And that's nice. And then you've got Max Parry, Max Stupefy. This is to help your stuns last longer and take less block damage.
Okay.
And then you've got Max Mystic Dispersion. It's amazing for every single Mystic.
All right, perfect. Cool. And then, so we've got, I need to lock this in though, right? As my mastery setup.
Yep. And then, you don't have to use this mastery setup for everywhere in the game. After you lock it in for your deck, you're good there.
Yeah. I loaded my Alliance War defense, so I feel pretty good about that. Okay, so we've got our deck set up. We've got our I'm gonna make that my mastery setup for both my decks.
Alright, so now I would like to talk about bans, and then we could do a friendly and talk about drafting. And yeah, so for bans, again, Herc and Domino. So Herc, when your opponent has a Herc, you should probably ban it. It's going to make a lot of your defenders a lot less worthwhile, especially against these, elite players that are able to Herc basically any fight in the game. So I think banning Herc will help a lot. And then banning Domino, again, this plays into the tech thing. Domino is a problem. If your opponent has a high sig Domino, I do think it's going to be worthwhile to be banning that Domino for how your deck is. And, losing out on that Domino for yourself is definitely going to suck.
Yeah.
But I think the improvements it allows you to do in other areas of your deck is going to be better than having a Domino.
Okay.
And then for some other substitute bans, when this doesn't happen, Mephi will be a strong ban. He's really annoying with Rich Get Richer. And then Mojo, Toad, a lot of the mutants and mystics that you might struggle with. There's a lot of personal preference with banning across this. And then there is also Kingpin, who can definitely be a problem. You do have a lot of good Kingpin options between Sunspot and the Cosmics, but he can still definitely be a very worthwhile ban. And another thing I'd like to note with Inequity real quick is it can function as an anti-Kingpin, and this has allowed me to not have to ban Kingpin constantly, because Inequity can make Kingpin very, very slow on attack, which is great. And same with iBomb.
I'm pretty sure. I was gonna say, can you finish that thought? I'm pretty sure I understand, but I'm not positive. I want to make sure I'm following you. Why would Inequity make Kingpin slower?
So Kingpin and iBomb, they apply the Rage or Poison debuffs to themselves, and then Inequity still acts like these are debuffs, even though they give the attackers buffs.
That's right.
And that makes them a lot slower. So
I was like, I'm pretty sure that I've kind of forgot that Kingpins are actually considered debuffs. So thank you for explaining that. Okay, so as far as bans, you're basically saying, in general, Herc for sure, I don't even have him in my deck. Then Domino, if they have a rank 4. Potentially Mephisto, who is a pain in the butt. And then troublesome mutants that could come up. And then maybe Kingpin. As far as that's what I should be looking for. And then also, one of the things I always do is if the PI seems high, I always immediately look for an Elsa. If I think it's a recoil deck, should I be banning her, or do I have enough mutants where maybe not a big deal?
I mean, you have 5 mutants, which I think is more than average for a deck.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can if you want to, if you're just worried about that RNG of not drafting a mutant. But On to drafting. This is one of the things I want to talk about with drafting. I've booted up my game if you want to load into a friendly while we talk about this.
I would love to. Yeah.
But that banning phase, you have 30 seconds to look at your opponent's deck. So one of the things I like to do for drafting is look and see what's going to be a problem for me past my bans, what attackers I'm going to have to deal with, what defenders I'm going to have to deal with, and base a lot of my drafting around this. Now, for early drafts, I think it's better to go for versatile ones that are almost always going to be valuable your first, say, 3 or 4 picks. And then, once you get later into the draft, banning ones that drafting things that will fix problems that your opponent has is going to be very valuable when you get to the later stages of a draft. And, that's my general drafting mentality. As far as your strongest general options, you are going to have Havoc, Terrax, and Null be some of your strongest defenders with that Inequity. And then Rintrah and Kingpin and Korg and Nick Fury will be your other main general strongest defenders. And then for your strongest attackers, you will have Stealthy, you'll have Valkyrie, you'll have Sunspot, you'll have Archangel, and you will have a lot of these cosmic options be your strongest versatile attackers, along with Doom, Jugs, and Tigra. And that's where the Rich Get Richer meta is as far as versatile and general attackers and defenders. And yeah.
Yeah,
your problems.
I realized I may have already messed up because I'm trying to follow you while also doing my draft. And so I'm not sure I'm doing what you're telling me to do, but I think that's okay. It gives us some talking points.
Yeah. And then for your problem defenders, this is going to be using that 30 seconds in the ban phase to just scope out what potential problems there are in the deck and draft ahead, as well as if there's someone that, constantly drafts someone. Like, in these tourneys, we know most of the people in the tourney, so, we know people have specific habits. Yeah. So if we can fix those habits and make them work in our favor, that's going to be a great way of, problem solving for drafting. And yeah, that's the main thing with it.
Again, I may have to go back. I'll go back and watch the stream and kind of take notes of what you were saying, because I was trying to draft and those various things while you're doing it. One thing that has always blown me away is I see people take orgs with their CGRs. Do you recommend that matchup? And if so, what's the rotation? How does one do that?
All right, so for Rich Get Richer, I would definitely recommend it, and I'll play Scorg while we talk about this.
Okay.
So you want to bait heavy and throw a heavy into the air, and this will let the heavy whiff. Okay. But you won't be able to get hit, so you can just hold block immediately after that heavy if you do it quick enough. And then you want to do a 5-hit power gain combo, and then a 5-hit vigilance combo, and this will let your L2 not be in the middle of the rock stacks. And then Rich Get Richer will just boost CGR a bunch and make it a lot easier. In general, I think it's one that can definitely go very, very wrong, but in Rich Get Richer, I think it's a fantastic option. And yeah, that's how I would go about that matchup. My personal favorite for Korg in this meta is actually Doom. Again, with him getting that extra benefit for the Furies on the defender, he can be a really, really fantastic option for a Korg. And to talk about relics a little bit, Doom gets a whole lot of benefit from the Scarlet Witch relic because of the extra striker you're able to use. And yeah, that will make Doom able to do a bunch of combo chaining. And what this will allow you to do is just immediately cycle your L3 with another L3. And yeah.
The CGR versus Korg was actually working out wonderfully. I had I messed it up, but I could definitely see how this works.
Yeah, and then
it's really cool.
Your Inequity actually came into play on that Havoc. That Sunspot versus Havoc is normally amazing, but this time I actually died with it because of that Inequity.
That's crazy. And then, we got about 10 minutes left, so this has been cool. I feel like I've got a Korg answer. That's been one of my, you know this, that shrugging skill champions, in particular Korg, have been a real problem for me, and so I've kind of weighted my deck towards these champs that could potentially help that for me, and I think that kind of ruined some of my deck advantage. Okay, wait. So good defenders, Doom. I should do, or I've got Rintra. I'll place Rintra.
Yeah, Rintra and Hulkling would both be fantastic here. I think I would lean into those, and then using your Doom and Galen and Valkyrie as your attackers for this.
Okay. But having CGR be able to take Korg would be crazy. And then here, yeah, I kind of have to go Valkyrie, right? Because she doesn't gain those buffs.
Doom works great for Maw with the heavy knockdowns.
Okay. And you were talking about the Relic. I don't have the Relic, but the Relic is helpful.
Yeah, what the Relic does is it can allow you to chain an L3 immediately into another L3 with the Mystic Dispersion. And this can let you get a 2 Fury set up for matchups that require Doom to have a 2 Fury L3.
Okay.
Like a Korg, for example, this is lets you go with that a lot quicker and not have any reliance to get the double Fury very, very quickly. Any reliance on AI, I mean.
For this, would you suggest I go to the SP3?
For this one, I would recommend just throwing special 2s. Not even, special 1s or anything, just pure special 2s will be best.
Okay.
This one's a little bit slower, since Maw gets rid of your Furies and everything. But it can still be a very solid matchup in a pinch. For sure. And yeah, Rintra is another one of these that does really great with Inequity. Because I-Bomb is one of Rintra's best options, removing I-Bomb from the equation, or, well, not removing, but making I-Bomb significantly slower, really helps it be even harder to deal with Rintra with that Inequity.
So this is pretty funny.
Like,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
It's not like, you don't get the direct benefit of Inequity just kills your opponent, but you still get a lot from, oh, my opponent can't use I-Bomb for my defender, or my opponent can't use Kingpin for my defender.
Yeah, this is the CGR versus Korg one. Again, I was very forthright. I'm like, I really don't know how people are doing it, but I see people doing it. And you gave me the advice, and I can see it. It was really cool. And the same thing here with Doom. Like, I had the fight. It's just my own inexperience with it then kicked in, caused it to go, not the way I wanted it to go. But I can see it now. And again, that takes, not having to use a science champion like Quicksilver or what have you against Maw just frees up so much. So I think a lot of this is just gonna be like practicing these matchups now.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the ways I really like to go about this is not taking my victory track runs too seriously. Like, if I lose, I lose, and just getting in all of that practice time while I'm doing the victory track. Because, wins and losses, they don't really matter in the victory track. You can just try out all these weird matchups, even if it's something you think has no chance at working. You can give it a shot, and maybe it'll work really well, and maybe you can start doing that regularly.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is... We may be doing another one of these very, very soon, my friend, because there's now the application thing that I can tell I'm going to need to put a lot of work into. But I've already, in just one friendly, Maw's a problem for me because I usually use my my Overseer, and that takes a lot of time still sometimes. And Korg is definitely a problem for me. If I didn't have my Bishop, I was pretty much done for. So... very cool. Okay, do you have time for one more? Can we put one in 5 minutes, or what do you want to do for our final 5 minutes?
We can do another friendly to finish this off.
Okay.
I'm not worried if we go a little bit over time.
Okay.
As long as that's good with you.
Yeah. I should end relatively on time because of some family stuff, but I appreciate you being willing to potentially do a bit more.
Okay. I send an invite if you want to play. All right. And yeah, this has been great, Vega. I appreciate you bringing me on to do this.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably can't even see the comments, but people are like, this is awesome. So yeah, this is awesome. Okay, so I'll stick with my bands. You do have a Herc, so he's gone. I don't recall if you had a Domino. There's no Domino. I don't remember my science champions that well, so I'd get rid of him. And I don't like Hitmonkey, so he's going to go away. Okay, so I have Shang-Chi, Nimrod, and I-Bomb. Would you suggest Nimrod? Because I mean, he's my only tech. Should I take him for security purposes?
This one, I think Nimrod, both because he's the tech and because he's just the most versatile attacker there. And I think going for the versatile attackers early is very important.
Okay.
To make sure you just always have some attacking options.
All right, so now I've got Scorpion, Tigra, Sunspot. I'm gonna do Sunspot because I just am not sure how I'm supposed to be using him.
Yeah, here I think I would go Jugs and then one of like Stealthy, Sunspot, or Scorpion. Jugs is your really, really versatile attacker. As long as they don't have non-damaging debuffs, he's going to be very valuable. And then Stealthy, Scorpion, and Sunspot, they're all very versatile, and then they're problem solvers in their own right as well. So they're all great early picks. Mixing in those versatile picks along with problem solvers early on can help make you have a very, very easy draft. Not always going to happen, but when it happens, it can definitely help. Here, I think I would, probably pick, the Archangel for the Rintrah, and maybe then, maybe an option for, a Valkyrie, in case I get another fight that you need Archangel for, and then can use Valkyrie for Rintrah.
Yeah, she feels like one of those incredibly versatile problem solvers. Like, I kind of regret not taking her to rank 4 already, because I feel like she's one of those... Is the node giving you problems? Is the defender giving you problems where you hit him? She'll solve it for you,
Yeah, for sure. And then at this point, I think these final drafts, whatever your opponent does not have a good counter for right here, I don't have a great option for Havoc outside of my Tigra, and then you might want Torch for my Doom or my Nimrod or my Rintrah.
That's so weird. Like, I'm gonna have to kind of retrain myself because I just immediately was like Fury and Hulkling. Like, don't even think about it. And it was ironically you didn't say either of them, which again just about I think getting into the idea of what I'm trying to do here, not what I'm used to doing.
So for your first defender, I generally recommend going for who you think your second best defender is. Generally works well. And yeah. So I'm gonna place Rintrah here. And you do have Archangel, who's definitely the best option, but you may want to use a Valkyrie or a Sunspot here instead. But since I have that Nick Fury, since I have all that, I would recommend using your Valkyrie, because you don't need Valkyrie for anything else. But you definitely need Archangel for potentially the Doom or the Nick Fury, and then Sunspot again for Nick Fury, and I think that's going to help a lot for that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I even had Sunspot. This is so, again, I'm saying this for you, for me, and then also for anyone viewing. This is so different than what I've been doing. If you've caught my streams before, I'm really big on the dual threats. I do think they're really helpful, so I'm not totally forgoing that. But this is just a very different way of approaching it. I can see why this would, if I get good at it, why this would help me compete against, the people that are in my tournaments.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you've seen the Valkyrie versus Rintrah here, but just for the viewers, in case they haven't, Valkyrie versus Rintrah is really great because Rintrah's neutralize only applies when he's actually hitting or being hit, whereas Valkyrie does all of her damage through the block, and she also gets a bunch of richer power from her buffs. So she works really, really well as a versatile option, and then problem solves for a lot of matchups. So she's really valuable for this.
And you're obviously not watching my fight, although this SB3 was cool. I just ruined it. So she's not going to look as good as she should have. I got pushed to my SB3 before I could get the SB2 off.
Gotcha. And yeah, for the viewers again, I'm using Doom here with the Scarlet Witch Relic, and this is against Nimrod, who's normally a bit of a problem for Doom and a very tanky one, but thanks to all those Furies, I've already got him down to 15%, and this is a lot quicker than this matchup would normally go. So, you can see Doom just being an absolute monster with, both the Scarlet Witch Relic and the Furies from the nodes helping out a lot.
So anyone who's not already familiar with what Valkyrie can do, if you think about when I actually threw that SP3 and then what happened afterwards, that's more it, right? And everything Nerd was saying. So yeah, Valkyrie's great. Will there be a VOD on this channel? Yeah, I intend to leave it up, John. I can intend to leave this up so people can view it. I think it's just been really helpful. I personally probably might watch it back for some of the advice Nerd gave me, although I think I may actually just hire him for a couple more sessions. And then the link for all nerds. Oh, let's focus on this last one. We'll do that.
All right, so I'm gonna place Killmonger. I would recommend using Juggernaut with this, and I think you'll see what I mean. If you can play around Killmonger's reverb, Juggernaut will be really, really quick for this fight.
Basically,
so be a fantastic option.
I just want to do my best to make sure you have little to no power when reverb goes up, when it comes off cooldown, right?
Yep, you want to have as little power, and then just time your L2s when reverb is completely down.
Okay, I'll do my best on that. We'll see how that goes.
And then your Havoc, he has Inequity again. So this is an R4 6200 Nimrod. He's not going to go quick versus this Havoc, even with Rich Get Richer giving him a bunch of power. And that's just another example of how much Inequity, one, can surprise your opponents. Because, I know you have Inequity right now. But then a lot of your opponents are not going to know about that. So they're going to go into this thinking they have a free win in this fight. And then they're going to get surprised by that Inequity and just get completely obliterated. And that's going to help out a lot.
So I already messed this fight up a little bit, just due to unfamiliarity with Juggernaut.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing this here. And the power gain is crazy. Okay, I did exactly what you told me not to do. I threw the SP2 with reverb up, but again, that's a me problem. That's not a champion problem.
Yeah.
So do you use for Juggernaut, do you use his counterpunch tactic? Or because I noticed it's causing me to lose an unstoppable. Are the unstoppables too important so I don't want to lose them?
You can use the counterpunch if it helps you play aggressively. Versus someone like Killmonger, I definitely would, because he gets all that power from stun debuffs.
Yeah.
In general, you want to go for parries to just keep things easier with, parries taking less block damage and everything.
Okay.
But counterpunch can be effective if you're against like a Juggernaut, maybe a Mole Man, maybe a Kingpin.
Okay. Well, I unfortunately have to go. I see how many people are in here. I see all the comments. Sorry, literally everyone who's used to my streams, we usually interact quite a bit. But I've got an expert on the call here. I want to maximize that. I could see everyone was enjoying it. So thank you for all that. Thank you for all the incredible donations. So awesome. James Jones, El Chignon, Lemmy, Lord Easy. I feel like I maybe forgot someone. I apologize for doing that. But honestly, the star of the show here is Nerd. I'm pointing to my ear as if that's where he lives. It's not. Nerd, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for, offering this up for a stream. I think I know I'm going to want to hire you for a couple more sessions, whether we do it on stream or not, I don't know. And for anyone who's interested in this, again, I want to make it incredibly clear. We said this at the beginning of the stream, but I know how many folks are here now as opposed to the I want to be abundantly clear. I don't think it's necessary, but still, this is not a solicitation for merking or piloting. You will need to play the game yourself. So, Nerd, you saw, he gave me all this wonderful information. I then butchered it in the gameplay, but I'm going to practice. I'm going to get better. And it's not just for Battlegrounds. It's just that's what I want help on. So he's offering this sort of coaching for war planning, for questing, for the whole thing, right? Everything in MCoC. Is there anything that you're not offering the services for?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess if like a new piece of content came out and I haven't done it yet, I'd have to just wait until I get that content done. But yeah, pretty much everything.
Well, that's just you being a good person. So that's awesome. And the link to Nerd's video on this sort of coaching and stuff is in the description, also pinned in the chat. Nerd, thank you so much for doing this, man. I really, you know how much I enjoy this game. I enjoy trying to be competitive at it. I have an insanely busy life, so there's only so much time I have to practice it. And now with YouTube, getting the videos out. So, but I can tell this is a superior way for me to try to go about competing in my own tournaments. So it's just going to be a matter about learning it and getting it down. So thank you very, very much.
Yep, this has been a blast. Thank you for having me, man.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone in the chat. I got to bounce, but I hope you all have a wonderful end to your weekend, and we will see you all very, very soon. I think we're going to actually have a really early stream tomorrow morning, Nick 136 versus Usafa, I think at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, so keep your eye out for that. And again, thank you for all the wonderful donations, and biggest thank you of all to my boy Nerd here. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one, everybody.